And now let us take a look at the details, but before we begin this edition, let us inform you that President Paul Kagame has received the Right Honorable Patrice Trovoada, the Prime Minister of Sao Tome and Principe, who is in Rwanda with his spouse for a working visit to strengthen existing bilateral relations in sectors of mutual interest between the two countries, including trade and investment. President Kagame also received a delegation from the Seagal Family Foundation in Kigali for their just concluded annual general meeting. The foundation was founded by Barry Seagal following his visit to Rwanda back in 2007. The private philanthropist foundation now supports over 400 partners working to find scalable solutions to challenges in education, health, technology, and agriculture across 20 African countries. The meeting discussed Rwanda's transformation journey over the decades, the opportunities for investments in health and education, as well as the continuous collaboration between Rwanda and various nations across the continent towards achieving prosperity for citizens. Now, as we saw in the headlines, Rwandan youth diaspora who are in the country for a 2-week youth tour visited the Ministry of Defense and the Campaign Against Genocide Museum, where they expressed their willingness to contribute to the country's development by being educative about Rwanda's history, including the key phases of the country's liberation journey. We have the details with Sheena Teta.
The Rwandan youth in the diaspora first visited different sections of the Campaign Against Genocide Museum and were enlightened about the history of the 1994 genocide against the Tutsi, as they were also provided with more knowledge about the various phases of the liberation journey of Rwanda after the 1994 genocide perpetrated against the Tutsi. The Rwandan youth in the diaspora expressed that they gained a lot from the visits conducted and say that it is high time they also contributed towards Rwanda's development via being educated about the country's history, saying it brings out the reality of what they learn in schools.
Yeah, the history is very important because it teaches us about ancestors. Like where we live is not many of us, so we don't really learn about the country and we have to make our own research. So it's good to come here and actually see people interested in what we're interested in at the same time, and we get to learn more because we feel comfortable and go back and teach them as well. So.
Upon their visit to the Rwandan Ministry of Defense, the Rwandan youth in the diaspora were explained too about the liberation journey and its key phases, providing a clear and brief background of Rwanda's history in general. The representative of the Rwandan youth in the diaspora says the tour is a platform to provide knowledge and information about the country's history to the diaspora youth, as well as enabling them to reconnect with their country and find out what opportunities it offers.
What I learned from the RDF is heroism and discipline, but mostly I learned that I have to take part in all activities prepared by the country, whether I'm here or abroad.
The Rwanda Defense Forces spokesperson, during interactions held with the youth in the diaspora family, asserted that the youth has a big role to play in sustaining the achievements of their country. The third edition of the 2-week youth tour gathered about 65 youths in the diaspora from 13 different countries around the world and aims to equip them with opportunities to get to know their country a lot more. Sheena Teta, RTV News.
Now to health matters. Rwanda is going to start vaccinating children 7 years and younger against polio due to the fact that in neighboring countries like Burundi and the DRC, the disease has been reported. Jessica Gasaro has more.
The data presented by the health institutions show how African countries continues to be affected by the polio epidemic, while in 2020 this polio virus was left in 2 countries in the world, namely Pakistan and Afghanistan. Some of the countries where the polio virus has been reported are Burundi, Democratic Republic of Congo, and Tanzania. The data also shown by the health institution show that the polio virus came from the Democratic Republic of Congo, and it has now reached 6 other countries, including the Central Africa, Botswana, Malawi, Zambia, Burundi, and Congo-Brazzaville. This is why Rwanda is going to start vaccinating children from the 23rd of this month, as Hassan Siboman, the interim division manager of the Maternal Child and Community Health at RBC, explains.
Yes, so Actually, today we are in preparation to see how we can protect our children against polio, because actually I have seen that in our region there is outbreaks in different countries, including DRC and Burundi, where it has been observed cases of polio. And I have to remind actually the audience that the cases of polio, so actually there was a hope of eliminating polio, even eradicating polio worldwide. So if you compare cases of polio, since we started to vaccinate in vaccination programs in different countries, so at that time there was so many cases. And if you look at the progress, actually in 2020 there was a hope that polio can be eradicated, because actually there was only 5 cases in Afghanistan and Pakistan, in Asia. But recently we have received alerts from WHO, World Health Organization, alerting all countries that there is circulating polio cases in different countries. So if you look at in our region, there is so many cases in DRC, in Burundi, in Zambia, in Malawi, in Central African Republic, in Congo Brazzaville. So actually there is so many cases, so many that different countries are now trying to see how they can respond to this outbreak. And then for us as Rwanda, we have that threat of having also neighboring countries with so many cases. So we think that actually it is very important even for us to vaccinate our children.
Although this polio virus has not yet reached Rwanda, there are measures being taken to ensure that there is no problem. Last year, in 2022, 4 tests were taken in clinics and hospitals in the Kicukiro district to those who were suspected to have that virus, but they found out they didn't have any problem. This year, though, 2 measures have been taken and the results are awaited. Some of the residents are asking this polio virus is seen in the neighborhood. This vaccination program should be accelerated and be near them. We have to be more cautious, because if there is a new virus, as a resident, we need to start taking the vaccine in order to prevent it. I was arguing about how this child is not vaccinated, and they said they didn't have vaccine here. But now I have to take this child in Karama, where the child was born, so they can vaccinate the child before I take this child at home.
Me, I know this polio virus, because once you're sick, you become disabled, and you cannot be able to do anything, and that is a problem.
For the polio virus to be eradicated, Rwanda is working with neighboring countries where the polio virus has been observed. Only they have a problem on the Congolese side, as Hassan Sibomana, the interim division manager of the Maternal, Child and Community Health at RBC, explains.
Yeah, actually the issue today is DRC, because actually with insecurity in northern Congo, it is not easy for them to vaccinate. So otherwise, like the country like Burundi, we are very confident that they are going to contain this outbreak, because for them it will be easy. So they have already conducted the first round of vaccination, and we think that when we will be vaccinating in that week, during that week, 24th, 28th, so actually we shall be vaccinating together. So it will be a synchronization, so that children being vaccinated in Rwanda at the same time being vaccinated in Burundi, so that it can be easier, even those children being in contact. Once they are vaccinated at the same time, it's very easy. And also Tanzania, they have also the plan to vaccinate in district bordering our country. So on that side, actually, we think that with Burundi and Tanzania, so the issue will be solved. So the remaining threat would be DRC, but what we can do is just make sure that we are strengthening our surveillance, not only passive surveillance, but also the active surveillance, but also to make sure that all children bordering DRC are fully vaccinated and their immunity is very high, more than 95% children vaccinated. Actually, in that case, we can be confident that actually you can contain or you can avoid children to be contaminated with these types of viruses.
The health institutions state that if one person gets sick with the polio virus, it means that 200 people will be infected, which is why Rwanda is preventing it before it reaches Rwanda. Jessica Agasaro, RwandaTV News.
Thank you, Jessica. As we noted in the headlines, 501 officer cadets have graduated from the 12th cadet course intake at the police training school in Gishari. Among them, 96 women. We have the details on that as well. The graduates now bear the rank of Assistant Inspector of Police and have officially joined the Rwanda National Police.
Tuzabigeraho, tuzakora cyane, tuzakora dukoreye hamwe.
We will achieve our objective by working together, hard for the benefit of our country, because this is what we were trained to do, and as Rwandan we have always been taught that this is important.
Nk'abanyarwanda turabitozwa kandi turabivukana.
Rwanda ni igihugu cyiza gifite image nziza ku isi yose.
Rwanda is a good country with a great image globally, and I am proud that I am going to represent it as a policeman. As for our responsibilities and guidelines, these are the things we were trained on right from day one, and we are supposed to work with the people on a daily basis. Those responsibilities include ensuring that the peace of the people is not disturbed by anything. The training of the cadets included public order management, leadership and management, police operations, military sciences, the use of force and firearms, road safety, laws and more. They were trained on how to search people and their belongings, arresting suspects, fighting crime, and how to work with communities to get the job done. We also taught them how and when to use their equipment, which includes firearms, and the regulations and laws concerning the use of weapons. They also received military training because they may need to use that as well, both here within the country and beyond its borders when our policemen and women go on peacekeeping missions. Officiating at the pass-out and commissioning ceremony on behalf of the President of the Republic, the Minister of Interior urged the young men and women to work to address the different challenges the country faces. In that respect, the police has the responsibility of doing everything possible to ensure that peace and security prevail. It must therefore constantly engage in capacity building through the proper training to be able to give Rwandans peace through the proper utilization of the available resources. For long-term peace and security to be possible, the country requires policemen and women who are able to effectively fight crime, respect the law, and provide solutions to the challenges people in the country face. Such individuals should possess the appropriate knowledge and act accordingly, making sure that Rwanda's police continues to be exemplary both here in the country and abroad. 509 trainees began the course 16 months ago, and 9 were not able to complete it due to a number of reasons that in some cases included a lack of discipline. A pilot later joined the group towards the end of the training, resulting in 501 graduating. Now to the justice sector. The judicial sector has launched a new system of human resource management named the Justice Performance Management System. Adam's Kwizera with more on that.
It's a technology which will be used in the judicial human resource management, dubbed Judicial Management System. It will be a system that will evaluate the performance and measure the productivity of the employee. Fred Gashemeza, the Director General in charge of ICT at Judiciary of Rwanda, noted that this technology will be used to implement the goals of the judiciary in Rwanda. We saw the operations of the courts in Rwanda, and we found that it won't emerge with the system that we've been using in the evaluation of the judicial workers by making it digitized. That's why they regularized this system of GPMS we are launching today. The President of the Supreme Court of Rwanda, Dr. Neziryaye Faustin, pointed out that as Rwanda continues to advance in technology, it must go hand in hand with the judiciary sector, hence to improve the services of justice sector.
The performance of a given court, or we can even measure the performance of any staff, that is a judge, a registrar, or any staff of administration. So it is meant really to improve and we are expecting it that will help us to improve our work as far as dispensing quality justice to the people of Rwanda.
This technology, dubbed Judicial Performance Management System, will be used by employees working in all courts in Rwanda. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Now to economic matters and the new initiative that has been introduced to help to increase the country's exports. We have the details with Sami Uwase.
On this Friday, Rwanda Development Board has launched mobilization that encourages people exporting different commodities on international market that can be supported by the Export Growth Fund. The Chief Executive Officer of Rwanda Development Board, Kameta Pishet Sainzoga, states that this is a way of speeding up activities of the fund so that it can assist a large number of people exporting commodities and reducing the gap that is between exporting commodities and importing them. Through competition named Ambuka, Manager Exports and Manufacturing, Uizei Estelle briefly explains what will be required for someone to be given the support.
Normally,
they used to get a subsidy of 6.5% of exporting commodities abroad, but this competition will help them to get 10% subsidy. This means the fund will be paying for them 10% on interest loan, which will help them to expand their businesses. We will even provide a link that will enable them to say it. The requirements will have to be exporting commodities abroad, having the registered business in Rwanda, and having a good project.
kuba nibura afite umushinga mwiza ibyo nibyo bizakurikizwa.
In ways of enlarging business that cross borders, Muzungu Daniel is one of the 197 people who offered his project that passes through 6 banks that collaborates with Rwanda Development Board that started since 8 years ago and supported them with 28 billion francs.
Kuri iyo nshuro batangaga 50% by'umushinga wose.
They used to 50% of the prepared project, but this time they are now giving 80% of the whole project. That is enough money to someone who has a well-prepared project.
Rwanda now has 2 cargo airplanes. State Minister of Agriculture and Animal Resources, Dr. Ngabitsinze Jean Chrysostome, states that this program will facilitate the country goal to reduce the gap that is between exporting and importing commodities.
This is a way of reducing challenges and helping them to prepare their projects. It's a continuous program to remind Rwandans that this program is theirs and will help us to elevate the country's development.
Women and youth have the opportunity in this campaign that is going to be held on 17th July to 17th September this year, where Rwanda Development Board plans to receive 100 projects and support them on a 10% rate of the loan interest that is not beyond 1.5 billion and $100. Samili Wase, RTV News.
Rwanda's Ministry of Infrastructure has showcased ways to establish policies and strategies to facilitate the flow of various commodities through the Northern Corridor. Adams Kwizera with more.
The private sector is one of the sectors that often points out the challenges they face, especially in the importation of their products from the Mombasa port.
Basically, trade barriers and non-tariff barriers. The paper documents required, the number of documents required, the time turnaround, the cost at the port, and sometimes the tariffs, which are introduced without the consultation of private sector members. So those are some of the many challenges that are happening. It's not that they are going to be addressed overnight, but at least we are hopeful the continuous engagement and the political commitment that they are going to continue negotiating and discussing is a good move.
In the 35th Council of Ministers of the Northern Corridor Transit and Transport Coordination Authority. During that meeting, a handover ceremony took place, with the instruments of authority being transferred from the Republic of Rwanda to Uganda. The Minister of Work and Transport of Uganda, General Katumba Wamala, who is going to chair the NCCTTA, noted that the sustainable solution to the problems faced by the traders who use this Northern Corridor are set to be addressed.
But the overall thing really is to make sure that we highly facilitate transportation of goods and services and make trade within the region more appealing to the private sector and the traders. There are a number of things which we have to address, like the non-tariff barriers, which are still an impediment on trade, and that's one of the things which we are going to look at. But also to look at the issue which we talked about, the accidents on our roads, because that's also another bad image.
The Minister of State in the Ministry of Infrastructure, Patrice Uwase, pointed out the role of transport in this Northern Corridor Coordination Authority.
The Northern Corridor comes together through an agreement, that is signed and ratified by each member country. Today, we were able to agree on a stalemate we had on one of the articles about how we raise the financing for the corridor. And it's our hope that by the end of the year, we'll have also agreed on how we operationalize what we've agreed today. So yes, the agreement will be signed before the end of the year.
The Northern Corridor is a multimodal trade route linking the maritime port of Mombasa, which serves the member states of Rwanda, Uganda, Burundi, Kenya, South Sudan, and Democratic Republic of Congo, in a bid to promote regional cooperation by facilitating interstate and transit trade. Adams Kwizera, RTV News.
Personnel in the construction sector have noted that fostering professionalism among quantity surveyors is a solution to the losses that are found in the sector. Prince Manzi with more.
Sometimes there arise complaints in construction sector resulting largely from the usage of substandard equipment or improper planning. It is sometimes as well be lack of skills in the quantity surveying field. Some of the personnel in this field outline their major roles and challenges faced.
Yes, so our role comes in on every stage. It might be on a design stage where we are helping in coming up with the bills of quantities. It might be where we are assessing the bills of quantities, let's say, submitted in a bank for a loan application. Also, this comes when we are implementing a project because we are supervising and we make sure that the value of a project presented in, let's say, in books, money-wise, is the same as the one that we have on site. The first challenge was a platform to exercise our profession.
This is also emphasized by Victor Odongo, the Vice President at the African Association of Quantity Surveyors, who demonstrates that quantity surveying is critical as the construction sector is heavily invested in.
A lot of times you have projects overshooting because designs were not completed. And a person who's not competent did for you bills of quantities. So you go to site and you wonder whether the drawings you had are actually for that site. They are so different. Now, a quantity surveyor putting together tender documents for you, properly trained and competent, will actually tell the designers, this information is missing, this information is missing, it is needed. Therefore, the quantity surveyor is actually the first person to examine the designs that have been produced. Given the numbers of students you are getting out of the university, it is estimated that in the next few years, probably 2 years, you will have about 500 quantity surveyors. Now, these quantity surveyors working in various departments, working in districts, will make sure that every project being implemented is actually implemented properly.
On Friday, there was a launch of the Rwanda Institute of Quantity Surveyors, and Charles Rugira was elected as the chairperson. Rugira reiterates that this institute will emphasize on raising awareness as well as introducing new policies to foster professionalism. The Minister of Infrastructure, Dr. Ernest Sabimana, states that quantity surveying is critical in the construction sector, hence the government appreciates the establishment of the institute that is set to stress on professionalism in this field.
The establishment of Rwanda Institute of Quantity Surveyors comes at an opportunity moment when our nation construction industry is experiencing rapid growth and development, with ambitious infrastructure project and the rapid increase of urbanization. The demand of quantity surveyors has never been greater. As we look to the future, the Institute law will extend far beyond the confine of physical presence. It will be a catalyst for change and enable of the progress and the driver of economic growth of our country and our region. By championing transparency, accountability, and professionalism, it will attract investment, promote job creation, and enhance competitiveness of our construction sector on both regional and global platform.
Currently in Rwanda, there are recorded at least 200 quantity surveyors. Prince Manzi, RTV News.
That was the news. I'm glad you were able to join us for this edition. I'll see you soon. Goodbye.